Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. So today we're going to go over why SD is kind of dead and people are going to start moving on. I think there's four main reasons. The first one being the game is immensely difficult, as in like such a freaking crazy learning curve. The game lacks a lot of the map and variety that is needed for gameplay, and there's a lot of broken promises in that category from Eugen themselves. Also, player numbers are not great. You're only seeing the same amount of people, but we'll get into all of this. And then also, there's also a new game coming out. But let's just get into the first thing, just like game overall. Like one of the biggest issues in Steel Division is zero guides. There is like no way to really learn how to play the game, no explanation. It's overly complicated. There's like 700, 800 plus different unit models would do different things, different infantry types. It's very overwhelming. There's also the issue that there's 80 something divisions with all the DLC, which I don't even know where you would start. Every division in the game can be played different ways. And let's say you wanted to play just once with every division, it's going to take you like 40 minutes to an hour to play one game. So you're talking about 80 hours just to play every division in the game one time. This is like too overwhelming for players, and it's just so hard to learn what everything has if you're jumping into the game. And if you're playing some veteran player, you're just gonna get absolutely thrashed and you're just gonna get destroyed. And this is a big problem with them. They're instead of actually developing on top of what they already have, Eugen, they've pretty much decided to spam out DLC with no effort. It's just crap. Like they literally just copy and paste units that we already have in other divisions, and then mumble jumble them into a new division and call it a new day. Furthermore, like there's a lot of divisions in the game that are like carbon copies, but one is superior in every regard. Like they're I don't know what they're doing. Like you can literally see how certain divisions are just better than the other division type. It's kind of similar to its regard. Like take, for example, third Fallschirmjäger versus first Fallschirmjäger. There is no world for why you would play first Fallschirmjäger over third Fallschirmjäger. Third Fallschirmjäger is just straight up better. And there's plenty of examples with a lot of divisions in the game that are like that. Like if you look at it, a good example of decks that are made well and are kind of unique would be like the Allied DLC. Third Armor is radically different than 15 Scots and third Canadian. They all have their little pros and cons, and there's actually like they put effort in that that DLC. Like it's really good, but there's some of the new ones, not so much. You're kind of just copying and pasting what we already have. Maybe sometimes making it worse, or sometimes just making it OP. And I don't understand. Like you have, like for example, the Comintern is a bigger issue than even the Axis. The Comintern has a lot of the same units, a lot of the same infantry in all of their divisions. There's almost no difference in variety. It's just pretty lazy and lame at this point. And the DLC is just seems to me is you're milking us. You're not actually trying to develop good content. You're milking us for cash. And like you can look at people who make mods for the game that literally make more unique division composition than the dev team, who takes months at a time with no updates, no timelines, no scheduling, always saying, "Oh, we're working on it, but we have no timeline," and it's almost been a half a year. And that goes into the next thing too with Eugen, is the broken promises that have been just consistently made. The biggest issue I'd say that they keep breaking up is like map variety. Like there is such a lack of map variety. Like in team games, for example, there are only like 4 or 5 maps, and some of them are pretty bad. Like they're not great and they're not balanced. Like Lenina has obviously imbalanced areas that just need a change of flag positioning. I don't understand why they are so adamant of not doing this. The whole community has asked for it. But, I don't know. Like, maybe they're onto something. But I think everyone's upset. Also, not giving us a tool to make our own maps just limits the experience you can play in the game. And I don't know why they keep putting this off. Like, it's one of the most requested mechanics in the game. It's a map editor. I understand my understanding is they just like designed the programming. Like I'm not a programmer, so like I don't know all the details, but they just designed it so god awful that there's nothing working out. So that's like one of the biggest things. They just consistently give us promises about DLC, content, map editor, maps, and just flat out no in every regard in every category. Also, I just want to say one more thing about map variety too. Is the two I'd say some of the biggest game modes in all of SD is 10v10. and 1v1s. I'd say more so 10v10s. I think it goes 10v10s, team games, and 1v1s. But 10v10 players are just totally screwed over in this map variety. They literally have no map that's really a 10v10 size map. They have Tannenberg, a free DLC map that just came out not that long ago, a couple months ago, and it's pretty cool. Like the map itself's cool, but the flag position is crap, so it doesn't lead to great gameplay. And then the rest of the maps, they're all 44. They get like 3 or 4 maps. Very little variety. You have to keep playing the same maps over and over and over again. It's just really bad in that regard. Secondly, for 1v1s, they have a lot of imbalanced maps. So much so that in the tournaments, they have to just pull them out. They just like don't let people play on those maps. They're just completely banned. And they just need to fix the flag positioning. And for whatever reason, I don't know why, like the entire guys who beta test some of these maps, the guys who run the tournaments, 1v1s, just everybody agrees that like these maps need to be fixed or changed and shifted. And Yujin doesn't do anything. I cannot imagine it's that difficult to freaking move a flag positioning. I mean, I'm just me, but like it's a freaking flag. It's just like move it a little bit to left or right, and I feel like you could really balance out some of these maps. But who knows? Maybe the programming is just totally broken. And the next thing is a little bit different, guys. It's the player numbers of the game. The game it's been out for like 2 years. It came out in June 2018. I think that's when it came out. And you can look at the player numbers. It's done okay, right? We started out with 1,200. I mean, obviously it drops out after that weekend. And we're at 300, and we've gone up to like 500, 600. And we've kind of just been flatlined for a year now in this area. It fluctuates, goes 700, and it drops because that DLC was bad, if everyone realized. But, you can get the gist. But the problem with this game right now is that, like, for me as a guy who's played way too much Steel Division, you're pulling the same people over and over and over again. You're always playing the same people. There's only a couple guys out there that are like play regularly. It's not a lot of people, and a lot of people are playing single player too. Like I think the majority of players are actually playing they're playing the army campaigns and so on. So these player numbers are even a little bit inflated. So there's not that many people playing online at all. You only see a couple lobbies. You're constantly having to wait in lobbies if you want to find a game. There's an issue of like so many Smurfs and different people just playing on their fake account. So if you're a new player, you want to join into the game, you join a new lobby, you see another level 10 or 9, a low level like you, and they're actually like a level 30, 40, maybe even 50, and they just like destroy you. And then you're like, what the heck's going on? And you don't play the game anymore because you're just constantly getting wrecked by like freaking experienced players. And it just leads to a snowball effect of people like, you come into the game, you get crushed by experienced players. You're not really feeling like playing. It just leaves experienced players playing, and they're just playing each other and over and over again and getting pretty good at the game. But it's not growing the community. So that's a big issue. Like you're just playing the same amount of people. Like you just see these player numbers. It's like not that big. And I get Wargame Red Dragon too. Like I want to compare Wargame Red Dragon. Like Wargame Red Dragon came out in like 2014. Look at these player counts, guys. Way more successful and still beating SD to this day. And this is my thing about why I think ST's dead. Like, we're going to come out very soon. Like, Warno is coming out, guys. A brand new game on January 20th. I mean, it's going to be in early access. And it'll probably be crap because of all the Yujin stuff. But, like, it's still probably going to be a strong, good game. Decent game. It's going to be and it's honestly just going to pull a lot of the Steel Division player base. And if it even takes 20% of the player base, that's huge, guys. Like, I don't think Steel Division keep playing mass multiplayer games if it loses 20% of its player base. I think Wargame Dragons in a similar situation. When the new game comes out, people will shift over. I know there's people who like World War II, and I'm more of a fan of World War II myself, like historical, that feel of that era, but the modern. But I'm gonna move over to the new thing. It's interesting. I'm excited to play on new maps. That's the biggest thing for me. Like if Steel Division had consistently has new maps coming out, and they did that, like I'd still be playing SD, and I think I'd be playing it all the time. It's not saying I'm never gonna play it again. I definitely will. But I just think there's the maps I've played, I've been played on like so many times. I want to move on. The division I played with, I think a lot of them are feeling the same, and I'm kind of getting sick of playing the same divisions. And that's just my take on this. I think when Warno comes out, there's a lot of cool new mechanics. You're going to have helicopters, going to have another element to the game with jet aircraft. I don't know. And it's going to have the division concept as well. You can already see it. Already seeing Third Armor going in with 50 activation points. I think it's going to be a really cool, new, fresh game. And I think it's going to grab a lot of the SD players. Especially like if you're into 1v1s, competitive. or you're into like competitive team games, I think it's just gonna grab too many of the player base to keep the game going. And like we're on a holiday right now, and the game is not doing that great either wise. Like you look at Men of War Assault Squad, like game has a pretty small company, and it's like it's consistently been growing its player base. Like look at the player count, like similar to ST in 2014, very a couple hundred players, and it's just been steadily growing all throughout the years, and now it's its peak player base of all time. And this is because they definitely support modding in Men of War Assault Squad 2. This game would not be popular at all if it wasn't for the modding community. But because in fact, people don't even play vanilla. Like people play like Rob's Realism in multiplayer if you're gonna play for fun and competitive. Like people enjoy that game mode more than the actual base game, and the dev team of that game is totally down with that and lets it happen. But Eugen is like so freaking like thick in the skull, man. They just do not understand that their game gets stale, and it's after a certain amount of time. And I think any game becomes stale over a certain amount of time if it doesn't have new content coming out with it. And it's so freaking complicated that a lot of players don't want to stay and keep playing. So it's like there's like this, I don't know. It's a great game, guys. I love Steel Division. That's all I have to say. But I'm excited for the new game, guys. And I think it's gonna be the end of SDE just from the player count. I think SDE I'll always come back to and play every once in a while and for fun. But if it ends up being that War No is a good game, I think it will be the end of SD2, especially with all the ongoing issues of Steel Division 2. And I know these issues are going to be in War No as well, like lack of map variety. I just know it. But at least it'll be new for the first couple months for everybody else and myself. So anyway, I just want to make this video. I'm still going to make some SD2 content until the release of this game, guys. I'm not done with SD2. If War No is just total crap, then for sure I will come back SD2 and keep playing because I do love the game. It's one of my favorite games of all time. So anyway, that's all I have to say, guys. I'll see you around, guys. Leave a comment of what you think is big issue with Steel Division and what could be improved to make the game better, and what you may want to see in War No as well. And thanks, guys.